So, hello everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of Diplomacy Talks with Samin. And today we have with us Mr. Naim Uddin, who is the former General Secretary of Chittagong University Modern International Association. So, hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. And how are you, Samin?
I'm fine, sir. What about you?
Alhamdulillah, fine. Hopefully, you are also doing fine.
So, sir, before we go on with the video, can you please give a small introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, at the inception of my university life, I started doing MUN. My MUN conference, my first MUN conference was UNICEF Model Conference 2014, which took place in University of Rajshahi. And from 2014 to 2016, I participated in lots of MUN conferences as delegate. And my MUN career as executive board member started from 2017. And just the last Bagban 2020 was my last MUN conference. And as a part of the International Global Network, I also participated that took place in Bangkok, and that's it. And apart from participating in annual conferences as delegate or an executive board member, I also have experience of organizing annual conference, and I have been a part of Chittagong University Model Event Conference from 2015 to 2019.
So we will simply jump on the topic right now that we have, that is the economic impact of COVID-19 on the government sector of our country. So, sir, can you please tell us how this COVID-19 pandemic is actually affecting our garment sector, and what are your views on it?
Okay. So before telling about the impact of COVID-19 on our garment sector, I would like to say some short information about our garments industry, how it is putting contribution to our economy. For example, our economy is completely dependent on this ready-made garment manufacturing. The industry contributes 11.2% to the gross domestic product of the company and of the country, and more than 406 R&D factories constitute the largest industrial sector in the country and contribute to 36% of manufacturing employment, engaging 4.1 billion workers. And besides that, industry has disciplined and low-cost women workers are the backbone of this industry. With 61% women employment, the R&D industry has played a crucial role in women empowerment and gender equality. Besides that, Bangladesh primarily exports to the European Union and the United States of America and Canada. Over the last 3 decades, the R&D exports have registered a cumulative average growth of 14.8% per annum and reaching 34.2 billion, which is 84.2% of the country's total exports. So we can see that it is putting a huge amount of contribution for the development of our economy. But when the pandemic started back in March, the economic has been felt in 3 main avenues. For example, firstly, a drop in domestic economic activity after the shutdown announced on March 26. And the second is a decline in exports of ready-made garments, which represent more than 80% of Bangladesh exports and have been strongly impacted. Finally, there has been a fall in remittance from Bangladesh, leaving mostly Middle Eastern countries affected not just by the pandemic but also by the decline in oil prices. So we are seeing the impact not only in ready-made garments but also in 3 aspects. So the industry, which is the world's largest second exporter of ready-made garments, is now staring at a loss of nearly 6 billion following the cancellation or suspension of order by its buyers. I would like to show some statistics regarding this issue. According to the Bangladesh Garment Manufacturers and the Exporters Association, which we know as BGME, orders for over 900 million pieces of garments export, about 2.9 billion had already been cancelled or are being held up. The Pharmaceutical Manufacturers and the Exporters Association, which is also known as BKMEA, another prominent body of the country's clothing industry, has claimed that more than 3 billion has already been lost, as most of the orders until July has either been cancelled or suspended. So this is the bad impact we are seeing on our ready-made garments industry just because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
So, sir, we are seeing that different reputed brands in the Europe are cancelling the orders from our country, and they're also cancelling the payment that of the orders that already made before, due to which the garments owners of our country are not being able to pay up the workers. So do you think this could be solved in any ways?
Yeah, sure. We are talking about the cancellation of the orders made by the different countries like USA, UK, and Canada, which imports premium government products from Bangladesh. There are also a reason behind this. Uh, for example, Bangladesh's R&D sector started facing obstacles much earlier than the world. The initial challenges were related to sourcing of the raw material following the suspension of economic activities in China as the virus spread in that country at first. Uh, the industry relies heavily on China for its raw materials, and that's a very realistic matter. This is also a significant portion of Bangladesh's billion-dollar imports from China. The diversification of supply chain and the opening of the economic activities in China now has resolved the raw materials issue. However, then came the cancellation of orders, which is now threatening the survival of the sector. Uh, then of order was the result of the lack of demand from the US and European markets following the closure of hundreds of shops owing to the pandemic-centric lockdown. The RNG exporters of our country have sought the cooperation of the global community to save the country's primary industry and the labor force. And besides that, after the pandemic, the government of Bangladesh already has taken a few kinds of measures to pay the employer and the workers.
This actually reminds me of another question. Recently, we are seeing this type of protest on social media that the brands which are not paying up, people are going to their pages and commenting on their post using the hashtag pay up. And like they're protesting that the brand should pay up by using that hashtag. So, do you think this can do any help?
So actually, in March, the government had announced around 500 million bailout package exclusively for the garment industry. Later, the government announced another 8 billion stimulus package for all industries, a large portion of it being earmarked for the garment and related industries. Also, the Bangladesh Bank, which is the country's central bank, has adopted an industry-friendly policy and declared that none of the factories will consider defaulter until June. These steps by the government are encouraging, we all know, as it provides cautioning time to the industry to absorb the initial shocks. However, these measures are for the short term and does not provide permanent alternatives. Sustenance of the sector requires long-term measures, and the stimulus cannot provide the solution. And also, in case of distributing the aids provided by the government, uh, the government also need to maintain the transparency transparency and accountability, whether the employees and the workers are getting uh, their desired amount or not, their desired payment or not. So I think in that case, this is one of the loopholes of the government, which tells us and showing us to uh, tell government to ensuring the proper transparency and accountability in case of distributing the wages and salary.
Sir, there's one last question, and we'll be ending up this episode with that one. So, what role is actually BGMEA playing during this pandemic for the garment sector?
Okay, so actually, we are seeing a different kind of opinions from the different stakeholders of our country. For example, the civil society of Bangladesh, they are sometimes they are expressing opinion that BGME and the government is not properly working to ensure the proper rights of the employers who are putting their best for the upliftment of our garments industry. If we look at the opposition party of our country, they are also criticizing government that government is distributing. They are also criticizing government that government is distributing and giving a lot of donation to the employers and the people, but they are not ensuring the transparency. Even some of the ministry and the staffs from the government are directly involved with the corruption. So, uh, what as far I think, the coordination between the BGM and the government should be placed at first, because without the coordination, it is not possible to hand over the desired salary and the wages to the employers. For example, if government is formulating policy today regarding the RNG sector, obviously at first they need to talk with the BGMEA. without having any discussion with BGME, if they come up with any kind of resolution or any kind of steps which is not known to the BGMA, it might be a bit tough for us to see the proper maintenance and the accountability and transparency in this sector.
Well, sir, that shows that VGM is actually playing a very crucial role in this. So, sir, that's pretty much for it for this episode. And thank you very much for joining with us.
Thanks a lot, Samin, and thanks once again for inviting me to this discussion.
Sir, it's an honor for me to have you.